pay the Cerberus and then become the one whose name they dare to speak. Then I believe that we can shift the cosmos into something so much more complete than antiquated doublespeak. Look at the leaves, the frogs, got no hope but we lost as a break above this holocaust. The look in every soul of the grows to resurface and bring a new plague to Olympus. Let it take back the 3 domains undertaken. Cast out your own ecstasy.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to North Sports Dynasty. I am your host, Andrew Faubert, and come in and grab your screens. We are going to be talking some Dynasty and some sports that you love, and especially the fantasy football you crave, ladies and gentlemen. I am alone today, so I beg of you, I plead of you, help me get this out there to everybody, because we talk in Buccaneer football today for most of the show. Like and share and follow North Sports Dynasty. We are 4 followers away on Facebook from 200 followers. So it'd be really great if you tell your friends, get 4 of them. 4 of them. We absolutely adore you for that. So come in today as we talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Since my co-host decided to get sick for the 2nd week in a row, I cannot confirm nor deny that he's about to quit North Sports Dynasty. No, I'm just kidding. He's not going to quit North Sports Dynasty. I'd kill him. I wouldn't do that either. That's rude. I'd be very mad at him. But Mr. Alex Lismore today is sick. So I figured today, instead of doing all the stuff that we had planned, I figured, you know what? Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So before, again, we do that, like, share, follow North Sports Dynasty. Tell everybody about it, because we got a giveaway coming up here, ladies and gentlemen, pretty damn soon. That's right. The mock draft season is upon us, where everybody thinks they are the best. And technically, we got some of the best here at North Sports Dynasty. Alex Lismore being better than me by 1 last year. Whatever. I'm coming for that title, motherfucker. That's why the board is clean slate now. I'm not going to be able to show too much of this, because then people are going to be like, oh, I'm going to steal Andrew's. But this is how it goes. You want to win yourself an NFL jersey of your team's choice. Doesn't matter if it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Doesn't matter if it's the Carolina Panthers, the New Orleans Aints. I'd be really pissed off if I have to put that on my credit card. But nonetheless, if you can guess more people being drafted to the right teams and more correct players being drafted in the first round than me and Alex, then you're going to win yourself some jersey. That's right. How's that work? All you got to do is guess 1 through 32. All the players that are going to get drafted in the NFL, okay? You guess the correct team and the correct player that gets drafted at the same time. You're going to get 5 points for that, and that means you're going to have a little bit more at the end to play with. Yeah. So that means you have a chance to win a jersey of your choice, and it's going to be great fun for everyone if you can beat me and if you can beat Alex. Alex is actually probably taking the day off so he can spend all this time on his whiteboard. Be like, oh, I know exactly who I'm going to do this. I'm going to study this, study that. Well, guess what, Alex? I've already done my research today, and I already kind of know who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be taking. So we can get that off the board. So let's get right into it. As you can see, it's a little jumpy. I'm on a stage, and I totally forgot I should have put this on the other side. But it is what it is. I'm going to try my best to not bounce around here as much. I just moved the office around, you know. It's all different. But here I am. All right, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, ladies and gentlemen. The free agency came and gone, and we got Tampa Bay's very own, in my opinion, Tom Brady, to come back and play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did he even retire? Did he honestly even retire? I don't think he actually retired. I think this guy was going to retire, wanted to do it his way, have this beautiful video, have this, you know, onslaught of players and love from the league and everything like that. And some douche nugget by the name of Adam fucking Schefter decided to go and ruin that for him. And a whole network of people with 4 letters took that away from him. But that's neither here or there, is it? The guy came back nonetheless after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were put in a little bit of a pickle, if you really think about it. With the whole Deshaun Watson trade going to Cleveland, We look at that contract, we look at the trade, and us as Tampa Bay Buccaneer fans are kind of going, whoo, kind of glad we didn't go into that trap. And the only reason I say it's a trap is because it is the biggest contract in NFL history in regards to guaranteed money. Did we really want to be the team that was behind that contract? No. Not even in the slightest. No, not at all. And the reason for that is, one, we're starting this beautiful thing called a winning culture, and we're doing it the right way. We have been known to have a couple of bad apples in the bunch, if you know what I mean, in regards to some players back in the days. Not necessarily, let's say, right now, but back in the day. We would like to keep it that way. We're a winning culture now. We have Tom Brady. We have Mike Evans. We have got a respectable offensive line, and we have a defense. That is the best part. And through all that now, we have ourselves free agency pickups. Tampa Bay Buccaneers before were not necessarily a team that could do this on their own. Free agency destination for people who are about to retire is usually where you can find yourselves getting millions and millions of dollars. The names come in, put up, a little bit of your own money and just get a couple of these players and stuff like that. It is what it is. Not necessarily anymore. Tom Brady is not a bad apple. Tom Brady is not a douche nugget. Depends on what franchise you're talking to, fan base you're talking to. And also in regards to how you think about the whole Spygate and everything that gone on like that. But he came back, and so did the players. So did the calls to the GM and to, obviously, Bruce Arians. Hey, buddy, I'd love to come to Tampa Bay and play. Be great. You guys going for it one more time? Yeah. All that beautiful weather, all that beautiful money, all the non-state tax. Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah, that sounds about right. Sounds like a lot of people were lining up to go back to Tampa. Obviously, some more money available if you went to Cincy as an offensive lineman, or if you were a edge rusher going up to Buffalo. These are things that, happen when the winning culture decides to keep intact. So, of course, we weren't going to bust the bank open for Deshaun Watson. Why would we do that? It would make absolutely no sense. It would have been cool for jersey sales, I guess you would say. It'd be fun for our networks, NSD, Bucs Report, and all the other people who talk Bucs all the way across. It would have been the greatest thing to happen, if you think about it. We'd be talking all offseason about a guy who we don't even know when he's going to get suspended, if he's going to get suspended, how long he's going to get suspended, and how he's even going to be appreciated if he were to be victorious or were to fumble. We don't have to worry about that. That's the only thing that we have to worry about now is filling the holes for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that we need to. Now that the free agency part of what we would like to say that the cream of the crop is kind of depleted. Now we're looking at three players. We're looking at Ndamukong Suh. We're looking at JPP, and we're looking at Gronk. Are y'all coming back? Are you all going to make a little bit of a return here? Are you going to start doing things that are going to make this at least a one more year chance? Now that we got head coach Todd Bowles, as I see right here from Christopher Warchuk, our NSD analyst for the Arizona Cardinals. Thank you for tuning in today, buddy. Funny how TB12 comes back and BA ain't the coach anymore, eh? You're damn right. I have said it before. And it's actually funny how Arians' son actually liked the tweet where I said something like that, where there was just a little bit of a riff, a little bit of a disagreement possibly that could have existed between them. And it just seems appropriate where you can leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers organization in a blanket of praise. So, it is what it is. What is this, Chris? Was it fix the logo? What logo? What logo am I talking about? Oh, I see. There you go, buddy. I got you. I just saw that pop up. I'm like, what are you talking about? TB12 is coming in here. Todd Bowles is now the coach. And that was the biggest one for me. I kind of saw that coming, but I didn't necessarily think that was going to happen this year. Figured after this next upcoming season, with or without Tom Brady, I would have seen exactly what Todd Bowles and Byron Leftwich could do, say, by themselves, respectively, with Bruce Arians just kind of being behind. I had a very funny suspicion that Bruce Arians was going to start scouting a little bit more because he himself started talking a little bit more about scouting in his press conferences. All you got to do is just take notice, okay? Like, he had been praising Trey McBride. He had been talking about running backs. He had alluded to certain players being available in the draft. And I'm going to get to the draft here in a little bit about some of these players I think are going to go first and second round, and then possibly third round. Bruce Arians was releasing the reins, but also is the type of guy that won by keeping everybody in check, by doing it his way. It's not easy to give that up. Hell, there's an article that just came out today about Bill Belichick and how this guy just turned 70 years old and how he is still not giving up anything with regards to the New England Patriots. Why not? Totally understandable. You just drafted your new quarterback. Your son needs a couple more years before he can, say, become a coordinator by himself. But it's one of those things where he's got a good coaching system around him. He's got a fan base. He's got an owner that'll basically do whatever the fuck he wants because he's been successful. He's been arguably the most successful head coach of all time. So you're going to be given the keys to the Mercedes. Go ahead, do whatever the hell you want. They haven't necessarily had really bad seasons. Last year they were, in the playoffs. I'm pretty sure. They were in the playoffs. And they almost won, respectively. They're doing good. The draft helps. Free agency helps. Having a good head coach helps. And having the reins when you are victorious, when you are a good head coach and you know you're a good head coach and you know you have a good system and a good coaching staff around you, that's what makes it better. Of course, it's going to be hard for Bruce Arians to give it up. It's Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. They can do whatever. They've traded for their head coach to win the Super Bowl that they did before. They basically took this head coach out of retirement and they stole and rolled with a 43-year-old quarterback. The Buccaneers just do things differently. It's just the way it is. So this upcoming season, it's probably going to be the same thing. We're just going to do things a little bit differently. But that means, look at the draft. Look at what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have done in free agency. And look at what Bruce Arians has allowed for the Buccaneers to have flexibility with. We have gone out and made trades and got ourselves another lineman with the loss of Ali Marpet, which hinders us, obviously. But Shaq Mason is not just a pushover. There is chemistry. If you want to call a guard and a quarterback having chemistry, but it happens. There's chemistry between Shaq Mason and Tom Brady. We are a little bit, in my opinion, getting weaker on the left side with Donovan Smith and Aaron Stinney. We do have Fred Johnson and we do have Nick Everett coming in there as backups. They can go in there and they can relieve them for a little bit. But I do believe that somewhere in this draft, maybe the third round is where we start possibly going for a left tackle where we can develop in there and see how they can do. Because that is just the one position in our offensive line that I'm just like, because Ryan Jensen's good. Shaq Mason is good. And, of course, we got Tristan Wirf on the right side. We're fine. But Robert Hainsey's got to step it up. Josh Wells has got to step it up, especially because we re-signed them. But right now, they're just backups, and they're sitting there at the right tackle and the center backup positions, respectively, in the depth chart as we see it right now. Buccaneers did get, however, their next Antonio Brown for Tom Brady, or the next quarterback continuously, with Russell Gage as the slot receiver. Doesn't come cheap, obviously. And you know what? I didn't think anybody were expecting to get a slot receiver in the free agency market for really cheap. I thought we were going to lose Godwin. And with the cap hit that Godwin had and Russell Gage, if you look towards the draft, that is probably not going to happen. As much as everybody's probably saying, we need a wide receiver. Draft a wide receiver. Why don't we draft a wide receiver? Come on. Well, why would we now? That we're just taking more roster spots away from now, say, Scotty Miller and Cyril Grayson. And even possibly at that point, Jalen Darden. Tyler Johnson and Jalen Darden are staying. There's 5 wide receivers on this roster that are absolutely 100% staying. Ain't going nowhere. And that's going to be Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, Tyler Johnson, Jalen Darden. Scotty Miller, Cyril Grayson, and everybody else are kind of on that weird little cusp area where we don't know what's going to happen come springtime, summertime, camp, preseason. We don't necessarily know if someone's going to fall in the 5th round when the Buccaneers are like, why wouldn't we take this guy? But I do not see it happening this year because there's too many other, say, backup positions that we need and a couple of holes that we still do need in the 1st, 2nd, and even respectively in the 3rd round. But again, going back to the free agency, the Buccaneers have done a great job. We've hit what we need to. We lost a safety that went to the Jets and is going to help them immensely. And now, all of a sudden, we go and we grab Keanu Neal, who is going to be a backup or a starter because Mike Edwards is there. We still got Antoine Winfield. And if I'm not mistaken, just so I'm not actually, and Logan Ryan. Though Antoine Winfield's going to stay on the field. Keanu, Mike, and Logan are all going to rotate that other position and possibly even play nickel. So corner and safety, are we really looking at that towards the draft? No. Obviously, our linebackers, going back to the corners, some people are saying, well, we got to re-sign a couple of these guys, and I don't think they're going to take the pay cuts, just like Carlton Davis kind of is going to go, doing here. I mean, Jamel Dean is a great corner, and he deserves to be paid. I have no problem doubling up 2 corners. But with everything else going right now, you can still afford to play Sean Murphy-Bunting this season, not have to pay him, and deal with this contract in free agency. Jamel Dean's, though, has to be dealt with. But this doesn't mean you go in the 1st round and grab one of those corners, as much as I know that there's 5 of them in this draft, maybe even 6, that are just way too good to pass up. But again, there's too many holes here, ladies and gentlemen, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that we need to address. You can't just be going after something because of the future just yet when we're still in win mode now. And that's why I'm going into my prediction for pick number 27 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's going to be, in my honest opinion, for positional-wise first, is going to be defensive line / edge rusher. Then it would be either offensive lineman or it is going to be tight end. I do not see it being a corner in the 1st or 2nd round, dependingly. Well, we'll even say just 1st round. I don't see it being a corner. It's not going to be a safety. It's not going to be a linebacker. It's not going to be a wide receiver. It's not going to be a quarterback. I dare. It's going to be the best defensive lineman available. And more than likely, the names that you need to start figuring out that you will want to watch tape on is someone like Travis Jones, that Johnny Dean has been saying from the beginning. Cameron Thomas, which is a name that Ben Cornett has started to recently, from the NFL edition, been bringing up as a good name to be watching. And Nagbar is a name that I have brought up from the beginning that I like because he's a person that you can move inside and outside. DeMarvin Leal is just the name that everybody knows now. Is another one that would be really great if they would fall to us as well. It just depends on which one of those would fit the 3-4 system better. Knowing that Vita Vea is right there, Golston's on the other side, and we just need to fill that other edge rush or that other edge position / tackle / hybrid. And that's what there's a lot of in this draft. If Jermaine Johnson were to fall, absolutely hallelujah, but he's not going to. There's other players, though, that are going to fall that we're going to have a chance on that we definitely need to pounce on. Jordan Davis and something like that, I don't think is going to fall to us, but for the odd chance that like a Jordan Davis were to fall to us or a Jermaine Johnson, a couple of other names that I'm just missing out on the top of my head. Those are the type of players that I could absolutely 100% see the Buccaneers maybe trying to trade up a little bit if they're available at that, 25, 24 position spot, and it doesn't cost necessarily anything too crazy this year. But I definitely don't see the Buccaneers going in and doing anything like too crazy, trading inwards, like up into the first round, unless there's something, and this is, people can call me crazy. I don't necessarily care, but does anyone remember a very crucial trade that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made with another team a couple of years ago in the first round of the draft? We traded back. They traded up a couple of positions. They got the quarterback now of the future. Does anyone happen to remember what quarterback or what team that was that we helped financially now, that are going to get a brand new stadium in the middle of the frozen flipping tundra? That's right. It's the Buffalo Bills. So the Buffalo Bills are 2 positions behind us. The Buffalo Bills have some key positions that they want to fill. But that might be the team that we actually could trade up with because of recent things that we have done to help them. It might be, hey, there's a defensive lineman that we would like. We know that you have a great defensive line. We know that you probably value this guy great. We know that you probably got some calls. We want to make the trade here. We don't want to break the bank, but we would like to offer you a 3rd and maybe a 4th for next year. And if you need a roster player, sure. Or how about we give you Scotty Miller so we don't have to cut him, right? So just something like that is something I can see. But don't expect it. But just note on draft day that there is history between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Buffalo Bills. And that needs to be addressed. But, alas, whatever the word is, if we're just saying that the Buccaneers are sitting at number 27, we're not trading back, we're not doing anything like that, because I don't necessarily see us trading back. And there's a reason for that as well. I can see us trading up in the 2nd round. But that number 27 pick, Travis Jones, DeMarvin Leal, Cameron Thomas. There's the Oklahoma kid. I think Nick Bonino is one that everybody keeps saying, but I'm not necessarily sold on that. Charles Harris doesn't necessarily fit our system, but if you can mold him and the Penn State guy, that also is one of those weird hybrid, 3-4 linebackers, like a Shaq Barrett type. I'm not necessarily opposed to that either. And a lot of people have even said, what if David Ojabo were to fall? I've said before that I would absolutely love him on the Bucs, and I've even said he's not going to fall out of the first round. And I'm still old and true to that. He's not falling out of the first round. But as for being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer player, it wouldn't necessarily make that much sense. It wouldn't. Not even in the slightest. And the only reason for that is we need someone that's going to come in and win right off the bat, and we have Joe Tryon. Shaq Barrett is the one guy off the other side, and we have Joe Tryon to be the other one. Unless we were to get rid of Shaq Barrett, or we were to say that Joe Tryon was a mistake at number 32 last year already, it's the only reason I can see us taking David Ojabo. Now, don't get me wrong. If his injury needs a little bit more time, and we are to say that this is, because of the whole Shaq Barrett contract, and maybe he wants out eventually, or this is to help with the the Devin White contract that's inevitably going to come up. Sure, but I don't want to be wasting a first-round pick on that. We need to address the defensive line. We need to get a little bit more pass rush out there. So look for that Travis Jones pick. Look for even what I've been talking about. Look for the Trey McBride pick. Trey McBride's arguably the number 1 tight end in this draft. If Gronk is to not be re-signed and not come back as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer and not help Tom Brady to go for one more fucking championship, that right there could be the straw that kind of, in my opinion, breaks the camel's back, because Brady is looking for consistency, and he's looking for, if someone were to get injured, who's coming in to back them up. That's why Cameron Brate is taking these pay cuts, because he knows that he also gives Brady another advantage going forward. But as a number one, no. So that's the problem. What did the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do here? A lot of people have said, I don't want to take a tight end in the first round. I don't necessarily want to either. But how are we going to be able to get the three positions that are technically wanted right now? Because I'm going to talk about the second round here and what I think we need to do here. There's a lot of talent at that edge position that we can still get. There is, if Zion Johnson, the inside lineman, is available at 27. I don't see the Buccaneers pulling the trigger on that, but it is a hypothetical that I cannot get over. Where his talent is so good there, where we can say, fuck Stinney, you're a backup, put him in there, let it be done. And now our offensive line is just as great as it can be until Donovan Smith is inevitably gone. Because I'm not sold on him being a great left tackle, and that's just me. If, though, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go for the tight end position, it's to make Trey McBride the number one target and to make Cameron Brate the number 1B target. Because that consistency that Brady likes to have with his receivers won't necessarily be there. He'll have time in the offseason to go and catch balls with all these guys, but we've seen him do that with Tyler Johnson and Jalen Darden. We've seen him do that with a couple other players, and it's not necessarily there. The Cyril Grayson one, though, absolutely fantastic, and that's why he needs to stay on the roster. Right? So make it a defensive lineman with that first overall pick. That's where it should be. The second round pick, though, this is where it gets fun. We need to trade back into the second round. We either need to trade up. Okay? This is my thing. We either need to trade up in the second round, or we need to get another pick in the second round. And it needs to be before our pick. And the reason why I say this, there has to be a reason why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are bringing in top 5 talent running back positions in as top 30 draft visits. Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, Damon Pierce, the Alabama running back, all of these players that you're starting to hear are coming into the Tampa Bay Buccaneer building for a reason. And what is this reason? We trust Leonard Fournette, do we not? Okay, yes, we do. That's the reason why we just gave him this nice, beautiful contract, is it not? Well, what about Keyshawn Vaughn? Now, if you guys do recall, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in recent drafts have gotten steals out of Doug Martin. Charles Sims, when he was injured, I love bringing him up because that's just my guy. But we have also failed the Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones was the tail end running back after Rashad Penny was drafted. Okay. Keyshawn Vaughn was kind of the tail end of the running backs that were drafted at the end of that run a couple years ago. I know he was a third-round pick, and I know a lot of people loved him, but the problem still remains that he's not that consistent, and his passing game catching needs to improve. The other side of this, though, the bigger side of this is when Leonard Fournette went down, that's when you started to see the inconsistency out of Tom Brady. When his slot receiver was down and his running back was down and his number one was gone and Brady had to do it like almost anybody else. I hate to say it in a bad way, but he couldn't do it. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now know that Leonard Fournette's on a short deal, that they have never had the opportunity to get the running back that they have necessarily wanted. Way back in the day, Ricky Bell, I hear you. But the last little bit, we had Doug Martin for a little bit, and then he was gone because of the overpaid money and the injury. What we need now is another 3-down back, someone with the pass-catching ability, someone that can come in right after Lenny and do exactly what Todd Bowles' system is meant to do. Run the ball. And how do you get the best longevity out of Tom Brady? You run the ball. You take the ball out of his hands and you get yards. And when you need the first downs and you need the touchdowns and you need to put the game on the back of the GOAT, who is still inevitably 45 years old, that's when you go to the running backs. That's when you start looking at the draft and start realizing that Isaiah Spiller and Breece Hall, no matter which way you look at it, I'll start with those two. Those are your Saquon Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott's, who went 3rd or 4th and 2nd overall, respectively, in their drafts. That doesn't happen anymore. There's a reason for it. Because you can get steals in the later end of the draft. The Denver Broncos went and traded up in the 2nd round and got Javonte Williams and is now a key piece to the Russell Wilson development in Denver. You mean to tell me that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will be sitting there in the 2nd round watching the Atlanta Falcons pick and the Houston Texans picks about to come in, knowing that there's a couple of these other teams that are willing to trade up in the 2nd round to just get talent, and we're not going to be one of those teams that go and does it to surround that around Tom Brady? The thought of taking a running back in the 1st round, laughable. The thought about trading up to acquire another 2nd round pick in the draft, or trading up your 2nd round pick to get a running back, in my opinion, absolutely needs to happen. Let Lenny run it for 3 series in a row, and then let this young kid come in, grab a couple of carries, sit there and block for Tom Brady because he's young and he's athletic, and a couple of these guys can do it. Then all of a sudden you allow the pass-catching ability of, say, Isaiah Spiller, Damon Pierce, the Alabama kid whose name I keep forgetting. You allow that to come into your system, into the Todd Bowles system, into the Byron Leftwich play calling ability with Tom Brady's little sprinkle in it. That's how you go forward. That's how you could even get 2 years out of Tom Brady. Who knows? But that's how you do it now. That's how you get a quarterback to come in after Tom Brady and look at everything around him and go, okay, fuck yeah. I got a right tackle. I got a center. I got a couple of guards here. I got wide receivers galore. Everybody knows that. Now all of a sudden you're going to probably give me a running back. You're going to give me a tight end possibly with that other 2nd round pick if you were to just trade for a 2nd round pick. That's an offense right there that you can put almost anybody in, like Blaine Gabbert, Kyle Trask, because you allow then the ball to be ran. And that's what I've been saying for a long time. So give me the edge rusher, give me the defensive lineman with that 1st round pick, but give me a trade up into that 2nd round. Take the running back away from the Atlanta Falcons. Take the running back away from the Houston Texans. Take them away from the Jets. Take them away from all these other teams that think that they can just double up on running backs and leave us in the dust like we always do. We do it this year. That's what I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do. And that 3rd round pick, I think, is just obviously best player available. And if there's a great tight end out there, you go grab him. And if there's an offensive tackle that you can possibly go and develop for 5 years, for 2 years, 3 years, that's the route that you go. And then you fill up the back end with your 4th and your 2 7th round picks. And if you make a couple of trades and you get, a 5th and a 6th, that'd be awesome. But you go and you grab those players who you then put on your special teams. We saw that last year with the last pick and the 6th round pick all being on special teams and leading special teams in tackles. And the greatest hair flow of all time for a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. We got Troy Polamalu Jr. out there, okay? So have faith in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and what they're going to do, because what they're doing right now is leading to the long-term effect of the winning cultures, which I've been preaching here forever. What the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are trying to achieve here through all this is obviously winning a championship and obviously getting all their boys paid. Like, how awesome is it to see that the Gronk thing and what everybody else has been saying about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady and Bruce Arians is you're all getting your money. Y'all getting your money. Antonio Brown fucked that up for himself. That just sucks for him. But y'all getting your money. Y'all getting your rings whenever we have an opportunity to. And we almost beat the Rams last year. Okay? Todd Bowles is now given the reins to lead this team after a major fuck-up that we all think is like, oh, yeah, that's the normal Todd Bowles. That's that's the Buccaneer way, is we don't know how to coach. You get that mentality out of your head. We screwed up once. Every team has it. Guess what? We still have 2 Super Bowls. The Minnesota Vikings inevitably have a 22-minute highlight reel of all the amazing fuck-ups that they've had for their entire franchise in the last how long that they've existed. And they've never won a Super Bowl. Okay? My co-host ain't here. I'll take shots at his Lions. What's the Lions quarterback from way back before the NFL actually even started? And they traded him and he cursed them. Kozar or something like that. Or maybe I'm wrong. We win championships. We screwed up. We now have a little blemish. Guess what? We had it in the little 0-2 run. Couldn't get over the hump, and then we finally did. And it led to one of the greatest interceptions of all time in our franchise's history. Okay? Every championship has 2 different things. The Rondé Barber pick inevitably puts the picture on our whole season. I know it's not the Super Bowl, but that's the picture of that 0-2 championship. And then deuces, baby, is the 2020, 2021 championship, whatever you want to call it. At home. At home. Which, by the way, that stadium is being declared not that great. It's been a long-standing stadium, Raymond James. And it's getting a little bit outdated, comparatively. But we don't want to start talking about that, do we, Tampa Bay fans and my Tampa Bay residents? Because I already know that there's an issue with your Tampa Bay Rays and the stuff that's going on there. But imagine if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers stuff starts coming out public about why there is no talks about a new stadium. Why is that not happening? We've won. Development of any players going forward, when everybody starts having stadiums, I think becomes a little bit more beneficial. Our practice stadium is indoors. I kind of love that. That's cool. But doesn't everybody think that, Tampa Bay would like to have a bit of an indoor-outdoor stadium, kind of like Los Angeles? I know that Jacksonville and Miami have kept theirs open. I 100% understand that. But we either need to do some more upgrades to Raymond James, or they need to just build a new one, keep it indoors, allow maybe the Rays to play in there. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe start the process of this whole super stadium that no one really has grasped the whole concept of yet. You don't have to play on the same damn, you don't have to, pull your football field out and then put the baseball field out there. No, you can have it literally so that they play side by side. You can have literally people go from one game to another. And I know how bad that sounds. They're like, well, you don't want to do that. Guess what? It generates revenue no matter what. If someone buys a ticket for the Buccaneers, they want to go on the other side, they have to have a ticket for the Rays. So then you buy double tickets. You buy package tickets where you can literally go from one side to another. And they're not necessarily going to be playing at the same time. No. They'll be playing, one is going to be playing at 12. The Rays play at 12 and the Buccaneers are playing, Rays will play a night game and the Buccaneers are playing a Sunday afternoon game. Or vice versa, or whatever. Okay? Millionaires, billionaires, quadrillionaires, Bezos, Musk, figure it out with these super stadiums and give Tampa Bay a super stadium because they've actually earned it. The Dolphins ain't done shit and the Jaguars ain't done shit. Ain't nobody done shit in Florida except for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thank you very much. Been a little quiet today. I see Chris is going, why are you all alone today? Alex is sick. He's messaged me and said, I don't even think I'd be able to stay on long enough before I'd have to go to the bathroom. I'm like, ooh. It's one of those things. So I'm running solo today. Figure we get the inevitable Bucs talk because I haven't done live from the cheap seats, which I won't be doing going forward. That'll be Rick that is taking over live from the cheap seats. I will be doing something else, and we'll stay tuned for that. But yeah, and I see that better, Chris. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I literally just erased that earlier, so I was just, giving it a nice little clean slate here. I'm going to do a quick commercial, and we're going to get back into, or not even that. I'll just go right into Red's Rant here because I just saw this little post thing that popped up here again. And honestly, this makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. So let's just get right into it. actual fuck do you think you are? If you think that you can actually message NFL players, NBA players, NHL players, any type of athlete, Olympians, even people in politics, and message them racial attacks, death threats to their families. And you think because you're on social media that you ha ha ha, and then people will retweet yours. And if you just stay off Twitter for a little bit, people will fucking forget you and maybe drop it in the comments section when you go back after a little while and stuff like that. You know what? That's the part that actually pisses me off. There's no accountability for that. The reason why it happens all the time is because we allow it to happen. And I'm not saying that we're all to blame here. I'm not saying that it's necessarily on us, the people, but we, the people, can be holding these people accountable. Because when it gets too far for one group, people will go as far to try and get their jobs. That's where I kind of agree. Because in a day and age right now, where everyone thinks that it is totally okay to drop the N word or to drop the K word with regards to some other races or just any other word that is insulting to a race, that is totally okay. That if it's taken in the right context, it's totally all right. There are certain times where it might be in the right context. If you're having a conversation with somebody between them and you're talking about certain things between them and certain words get brought up because you're describing certain things between them, that's really cool. There is never, ever, ever any given gosh darn right for you to ever message a player at any level, at any point in time, death threats to their family or racial slurs, and even like death threats to their family, to them, and racial slurs, and then blaming them for franchise. Who in the actual fuck do you think you are? There is no reason for that. This is the type of shit that is the reason we are having problems in these type of societies. Like this is the problem. Is there's no accountability for that. If you go and you start dropping those type of words on social media and think it's just all fun and games, that's where you should start losing your job. There should literally be in a whatever you want to call it now for any jobs that are given. Obviously, some people are saying what you say on social media can be, yeah, but it needs to actually be 110% every single time. 110% every single time. If you say something like that and it goes and it actually makes it to somebody's DM because you actually wrote it and you thought it'd be funny or it's going to get a rise out of them and they're not going to sign with my team and I'm a part of it. First of all, fuck you. And second of all, when you're fired, okay, and you think, I showed them I gave up my job for it and blah, 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 blah. The second time that you do it, that's that right there, okay? You lose all credibility and you lose, first of all, like, fuck the credibility. You lose your social media site. You lose your Facebook, your Twitter, your YouTube, whatever it is. Every email that you have, you lose. It's gone. Goodbye. It's gone. You lose it. And then when you sit there and you have your fucking hissy fit because you're like, oh, they're trying to silence me because, they're using these words and these platforms and I can't voice what I want to say. There's a time and place for you to say whatever the fuck you want. Congratulations. That's God-given right to you, okay? But when you start doing the death threats and stuff like that, that's something where you should be charged for. So take your account, take that person's account, and charge them $100,000 right then and there if they don't get the point. Right fucking then and there. Right then and there. You drop that stuff in someone's DM. You go at somebody because of deceased family. You go at somebody's family because you want them to be deceased and all that kind of stuff. Lose your job. Done. There needs to literally be more accountable on social media and all that kind of stuff. There needs to be these bigger platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that other crap that can literally have a type of police force where the second someone drops the N word at an athlete or any type of death threat towards the family, you are gone. You lose your current job. And if you don't have a job, go straight to number 2. You lose your social media account. You don't necessarily get fined right there. We can do the real law, the way that the law is going, stuff like that. But man, you even just like that type of shit needs to end. And I'm not necessarily always for the bigger picture and the bigger people up there and blah, 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 making the rules and stepping in. I understand that it needs to be the people that do it sometimes, that it needs to be the people that hold the people accountable. There needs to be accountability. We need to do better as people when we see this happen. We need to count them, call them out. We need to hold our platforms here accountable if they don't do anything. And then if these people come back and do it again, it'd be like, you oppressed me, or you did this, or you did that. This is all taking my rights away. No, it's not. You cannot be a racist person. I guess that might be your God-given right if you really want it to be. But after a while, it should be taken away from you, that right to be a racist person or threatening other people's family members. Because what happened to Deebo Samuel is absolutely atrocious. If he leaves the San Francisco 49ers, whatever team he goes to, which would more than likely be like the Cardinals, the Seahawks, or the Rams, by the way, it's going to destroy you. It's going to destroy your team. It's going to rip shit through your defense. And to be honest, it should happen. And to be honest, there should be a way that these DMs and stuff like that can be thrown up on social media so we can all see them and these people get held accountable. I've done it a couple of times on Twitter where people openly do it. And we go and we comment and stuff like that, and we retweet it being like, fuck this guy. And it's worked a couple of times. Some people are off Twitter, but guess what? Those accounts that they come back and make other ones, fake accounts or whatever, that's where Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, whatever, they need to step in and do their job. That's just the way it is, man. People need to be way fucking better, man. Like, honestly. That was my version today of Red's Rant. I know I'm done, but I just don't understand how people fucking, why are we doing this? These people in my, and I'll just use Canada. We got people running around in Canada with Russian flags and stuff like that are just pro invasions and stuff like that. What are we doing? What are we doing? And even Canada, drawn lightly here when people are well, what about the Americans in Afghanistan, or what about Australia when they did this, or these countries when they did this? Everybody's got their reasons to do everything. Doesn't mean it's right. Hack. Be good people. Be good people. It's Cookie Gaming. What's good, Fubu? That's cool. Let's see, no pride and see, I like that. I like that right there. Jonathan Cook says, buddy, you're just too Westport. That's all. I appreciate you tuning in there. Jonathan Cook. Misador tuning in today says, Bucs need to keep an eye on Bailey Zapp in the fourth. Misador, we took a second-round quarterback, and you're mad at that. Why would we take a fourth-round quarterback and think we're going to be any better, dude? You just hate Kyle Trask so much. What would happen? Here's the best part. I got a question. What would happen if the Buccaneers drafted Bailey Zapp and they put Kyle Trask in as backup, release Blaine Gabbert, and we don't see Bailey Zapp for 2 years, even touch a snap? Are we then okay to say that he's a bust, and how dare the Buccaneers do that? But Bailey Zapp is going to be a nice. I would listen. If we're going to do anything, we should take Desmond Ridder in the second. Just saying. It's like a Big Ben, but without the allegations. So, Jonathan Bott agree completely about threats. Thank you for tuning in too. And William Michael Freeman. Do you think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will keep Tom Brady for 2 to 3 more years? 2 years at max. I do not see Brady playing another 3. I cannot see Brady playing another 3 years at all. Not even in the slightest. Not even in the slightest. I could see him playing 1 year at most, and that's it, to be honest with you. All right, guys. By the way, quick little high stakes, high rewards to end the day. and gentlemen, looking down at the bets today for high stakes, high rewards. The parlay that I had down here was looking okay earlier, but my Red Wings just obviously could not put it together, which is really the biggest piss off in all that. The Predators and the Blackhawks both went over 6, which I knew was going to happen. I called the over 5 there. Right now, Pittsburgh is within a goal and a half. Obviously, with the pulling goalie here in a bit, that could obviously change. Man, I really thought the Red Wings could stay within a goal and a half of the Rangers, but they didn't. So that parlay not looking the greatest right now. I do, though, have the Tampa Bay Rays just winning outright today. Plus 113 is what I found them at last night. I don't mind what the White Sox have been doing, but I still think the Tampa Bay Rays with Kubler, whatever his name is there, starting pitcher today, I think he was going to do pretty good, at least through 6-7 innings. And if Tampa Bay can get a couple of runs in there, they might actually pull it off. So right now they're looking at a 1-0 lead over the White Sox. So hopefully that's going to end in a nice little payout. Our basketball one that we have tonight got the Utah Jazz money line at 210. I think that, come on. No Luka Doncic. I don't think Dallas has enough firepower all around to just do it themselves. I think everybody can kind of agree with that. It's not an insult to Dallas. It's just Luka is the motor that makes the Mercedes go. Without Luka, it's just a pretty looking thing in the driveway. That's what I think is going to happen tonight. Now, I do think Memphis might win a close one tonight, but this plus 6.5 that I got for Minnesota last night is too good to pass up. Ja, I think, is coming back. Ja is going to possibly play. I didn't necessarily get the full wording on that. You know who would have known that? My co-host. Just saying. I do think that the Minnesota Timberwolves, after that win-in game, have that momentum where I think they can stay within the 6.5. This is where the parlay gets a little bit fun, though. If those two hit, I think the Utah-Dallas game is actually later on, but it might actually be ahead of the Toronto game. If Toronto wins tonight, this little parlay is a nice, no matter how much money you put on it. Toronto actually has a very good chance to win game 1. Philadelphia doesn't necessarily do good in the first games until later on, first game of the playoff series, until later on into the fourth. Toronto has been proving that they can actually play a lot better going into the fourth quarter against some of these bigger tiered teams. Philly's got 2 stars. James Harden has got to come out and just shoot, and Joel Embiid has got to be on his heels. I do think Toronto can sneak out a close one in the first game, but I think all in all, Philadelphia's got the series. I'm taking this parlay tonight, and I'm going to enjoy it. But those are the only bets I got for you right now, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you for tuning in to High Stakes, High Rewards. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming down to the final 4 minutes of the show. Only doing an hour today because I got a couple of things to do. It is Easter weekend, of course. Shout out to everybody. Jesus has risen, or whatever religion that you follow. They have their own thing that's going on. The only one I know is that Jesus is risen today, or tomorrow, or sometime. I don't fucking know. But happy Easter to everybody. I appreciate everybody tuning in. There are some dates to keep up with us. Mock Draft 3.0 begins next weekend, where me and Alex are going to give our final Mock 3.0 or 3.0, our final Mock Draft 3.0 of the season. Won't necessarily be our final one that we put out there for the draft, where we try to beat you all. It's just going to be our 3.0. Don't worry, we're not going to try and screw with everybody. It's just to give you an idea of where some of the basics are going to happen in this draft right now, based off of some of the players, some of the moves that we've seen, like New Orleans there and the Seahawks coming up and all that other fun stuff. On the 30th, we will have the draft overview. If I am not working and Alex isn't working, I think the NFL Edition might be doing a live thing for the draft, but we might also be doing something as well, depending. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but we are going to have the draft overview show on the 30th, and then our Dynasty rookie rankings on May 7th. And then I believe on May 14th, and just double check the dates, that's why I don't have it there, we are going to be doing the Dynasty rookie draft on May 14th, as long as the date obviously holds up with everybody, and we will have a live event for that. Don't worry, it is not 22 rounds. It is only going to be 4 rounds, and you're going to see a lot of different trades happen because there's going to be a lot of different moves going on. Our new Dynasty League has already kicked up and running, and it's had some pretty crazy trades. The original NSD League, we just did a literal 3-person trade where I obviously in the offseason, I traded Laviska Shenault to try and get Keyshawn Vaughn just in case Lenny was not to come back and the Buccaneers were to go grab another rookie running back. Because I have pick 103, I would have just made sure to have the Tampa Bay Buccaneer back end, the running backs there, the stable of running backs. But a loss. The Buccaneers decided to bring Lenny back. I ain't going to trade, 5 first-rounders like somebody wants in my league for him. So what I am doing instead is I traded Keyshawn Vaughn. I got my wide receiver back in Alan Lazard, and I got a better 3rd-round pick, though I had to give a couple of other picks that I didn't necessarily want. But Mr. Alex Schomburg got his defense, and Alec got his defense, and Alex ended up getting the 2nd-round pick that he was looking for, so he can try and dangle it in everybody else's face. So this will give you a little update of the Dynasty. So if you are looking to get the whole rookie update, we are going to wait until draft time because, in my opinion, you kind of already know some of the names: Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Isaiah Spiller, Traylon Burks, Drake London. Like, all these guys are the top tier of the crop of players that you're going to be wanting in fantasy football. It all depends on where they go. Like, obviously, if Trey McBride is to be drafted to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the stock is going to rise, especially if they don't bring Gronk back as well. If Breece Hall were to go to somewhere like the Houston Texans or the Atlanta Falcons, or there's a couple other teams that need a number 1 running back, that's where all of a sudden people start getting crazy with the whole Najee Harris type situation where they're like, I need the number 1 there. So it'd be interesting to see. But this is the wide receiver draft. It's going to be interesting to see where these wide receivers go because everybody's going to start grabbing them. And that's where I just sneak in and grab my running back this year. Ain't nobody going to know what I'm doing until draft day. That's for sure. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today for this quick little show on Easter weekend. You all have been so great to North Sports Dynasty. I ask at the end of the show just one more thing. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a follow. Tell all your friends about us. We need 4 more followers to hit 200. I just want 200 on my Facebook page. Go get your grandma to sign up. Go get your ex-wife to sign up. Go get your kids to sign up. I don't care who signs up. I just want to see 200 so we can throw another party because I feel it from last night where I drank a lot of Fireball and I lost a Game of Thrones risk. And that's okay. That's just life. So I'm going to go have some breakfast. And then I'm going to go have some turkeys and gobbles and all that other fun stuff. Much love to everybody out there. We'll see you next week with the Mock Draft 3.0 and hopefully my co-host. So much love. We'll see you then. Goodbye. Ciao, ciao for now.
So if I can tame a Cerberus and then become the one whose name they dare to speak, then I believe that we can shift the cosmos into something so much more conflicted, antiquated, double speak. Attempting to use the frogs to all hope, but we lost as a break above this holocaust. I'm taking every soul of the world is to the service and bring